Hi, thank you for watching my channel today. My name is Sarah and my channel is Your True Shelf. And today I'm doing a video not about books, and I'm not sitting in the office, I'm downstairs in the lounge, and I wanted to do another one of my Mama and series called Mama and Wildness. So I wanted to talk about wildness as a woman, and I thought I should start with defining what I mean by a wild woman. So I don't mean somebody who just wants to go out and party all the time. So I found a definition by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who wrote the book Women Who Run with the Wolves, which is a really fantastic book all about the theme of wildness. So this is the definition that she wrote, which I think encapsulates it really well. She said, within every woman there lives a powerful force filled with good instincts, passionate creativity and ageless knowing. She is the wild woman who represents the instinctual nature of women. So for me, it's that, and our kind of connection with Mother Nature is also part of that for me as well. So I just wanted to talk about this because I think that it's important to embrace our wildness and our creativity and our authenticity, and it's not for me just a kind of a concept, a fad, or it's a part of my essence inside, and I think that it's part of all women's essence inside. It's just maybe we're not in touch with that anymore because of the society and the times that we live in now. So for me, one of the times I can remember nature being really important to me is probably the first time is when I was about 17. I'd gone on a field trip, a biology field trip to Pembrokeshire in Wales, and we were on the beach, and I can remember feeling it was quite a difficult time for me because I was away from my boyfriend at the time, I was away from my parents, and I don't like someone telling me what I have to do at specific times. And so when we were staying in this dormitories and stuff, we'd have to have lights out at this time and dinner at this time. I didn't really like that sort of constriction. I like much more freedom, so I was finding it really hard. And I just remember being on the beach doing my field work and listening to some music, which I remember I was listening to the band live, and I was just at the beach, and that was just total bliss for me to listening to music on the beach, totally in nature. That was a really lovely place, and I can remember that. And then after that, the next time I sort of really, after that, I think I definitely struggled. So speaking about this now, it makes me think one of the reasons I struggled at med school a lot emotionally was because I felt like I was being boxed into a way of thinking, a way of doing that wasn't me. And now I kind of know that the wild me didn't want to be tamed in that way, and didn't want to be told this is the way you do this now. And I did find a lot of outlet through that pain in music and in painting and in writing poetry. And I used to write a lot of poetry. I don't write any poetry really anymore. And I used to be part of a site called Deviant Art, where lots of people shared all their creative endeavours. And I used to paint a lot, and all of that creativity, that's never left me. And literally, if I didn't have that, I think I'd go mad, because that's, for me, creating stuff is essential to my well-being. So I think this has always been there. It's just I never kind of called it anything. And then the next time in my life was when Faye was born. So I was 30, and when you have a baby, it's just nothing can prepare you for how much your life changes. And I found it really hard at times because I'd gone from obviously being free to do whatever I wanted to do, and then you have to take care of another person, and the other person can be quite shouty and quite demanding and quite sleep depriving. And so it's really it is hard when you have to learn that for the first time. And one of the things that I used to do to sort of help with that was I used to put Faye in the pram, and we'd just go and walk, and we'd walk a long way, and we'd walk through all kind of through trees, through country lanes, through farmers' fields and things, and that was like a massive salvation for me to be out in nature like that. And there was a lovely like lake we used to go to sometimes, and that was a big part of, again, like helping my well-being. And then I came across this lady called Brooke Hampton, who is an online presence. Like I don't know her in real life, and she kind of called this wildness for the first time. I'd never heard of that before, and she has a blog called Barefoot 5 and a YouTube channel now, although she didn't when I first heard of her. And she was just kind of putting into words all the things that I'd been feeling, and she was talking about wild women and her tribe and everything, and I guess that kind of like vocalized how I'd been feeling for the first time. And I discovered other people through her, like different podcasts and different Instagram accounts and things, and I felt like I fitted in this group and that I found my people, which was really liberating. And it meant that I stopped, I guess because they were so open about sharing everything as well. For me, like, I used to care a lot more about what people thought, and so like when you're in that place, you don't want to put yourself out there and be vulnerable and open to judgment and criticism. You just kind of think those things to yourself and don't necessarily speak up. And they weren't afraid to speak up, and I think that gave me a lot of courage as well to kind of speak about those things for me and how important they were to me. And I just, since as well becoming a mother, I felt like my connection with like Mother Earth has been so much stronger, because I just kind of get it now. For me, the other things that make up my wildness are meditation and yoga. Another two things which are kind of essential things for my well-being. When I do yoga, I feel very grounded, and I like, obviously your body's in contact with the ground, and you're talking about your energy and your breathing and flowing through these movements and focusing on how your breathing kind of moves your energy through your body. And I have just this wonderful yoga teacher, Julie. I love her to bits, and I just love doing yoga. And I try and meditate every day, but I don't meditate every day, but I try, which sounds like a really weedy excuse. But some days I genuinely forget. I tend to always remember when I've had a hard day, because I feel so much better afterwards. And if everything's going fine, then sometimes I can be a bit slack at it, because I can think, well, I'm fine, I don't really need it today. But actually then, after I've had a few days where I haven't done it, I can feel like I'm starting to get more stressed, less grounded, more worrying, more snappiness. And then I'm like, okay, I need to come back to my practice and put the effort in, put the time in, and then I feel better and things start going better and I look at things differently again. So I think I've talked about everything I wanted to say. So for me, the creative side of things is like absolutely key for me. So creativity, authenticity, not being afraid to speak up and say what you think and what you believe, and feeling that connection with the earth. And also, like the meditation, the yoga. And for me, the other key thing is like my spiritual practices, so I'm not talking about religion, I'm not a religious person, but I have to do like listen to my favourite teachers who bring me a lot of wisdom, and also like write stuff and listen to podcasts which help my growth and my lifetime, and all that kind of stuff is all what I'm talking about when I say wildness. And I just wanted to talk about it because I think it's not talked about enough. People are scared to talk about certain things, and even if they're not scared to talk about certain things, maybe they've never had that moment where they realise this is at the kind of essence of their being, like I did when I found Brooke Hampton and she was saying what I was feeling. So I'll link her down below so that you can check her out if this sounds like something that is appealing to you. And yeah, so I just thought I'd have a little break from book stuff, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you think, and whether you kind of have that wild connection, whether you understand what I mean, whether there's certain things that are like sacred and essential to your well-being. And I hope you're having a great week, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.